Let's solve the given quadratic equation by the square root method. So, we're gonna solve x squared equals 49 at gagamitin natin ang square root method or tinatawag din natin extracting the roots. So, we're gonna use this method to solve this equation. So, all I just need to do is to get the square root of both of the sides. So, we are going to get the square root of this expression as well as this. Kukunin natin ang square root ng bawat side of the equation upang ma-maintain natin ang equality na equation. So, di ba, kapag kukunin natin ang square root dito, dapat kukunin rin natin ang square root ng expression na ito to maintain the equality of the equation. So, we're gonna get the square root of x squared, that's square root of x squared, and then square root of 49, that's square root of 49. So, this is how, or ito yung sinasabi ko na we have to get the square root of each of the expression sa both sides of the equation. And then, what is the square root of x squared? So, diba, the square root of x squared, that's x. And then, the square root of the constant 49 is positive and negative 7. So, you have to take note na kapag sinusolve mo ang isang quadratic equation, ang value ng root ay dalawa. So, dalawa ang posibleng value ng roots. Basta, we are dealing with quadratic equation. So, yan, that's why we have to put here positive and negative. So, therefore, the roots are positive and negative 7. So, ito. And then, this is now the answer for this particular exercise. Therefore, the square roots or the roots of the given expression, the given equation, x squared equals 49 are positive and negative 7. Alright? Now, what about this? Let's get or extract the square roots of this quadratic equation, x squared equals 81. So, solution, gagayahin lang natin yung ginawa natin a while ago. So, let's copy the given first and then kukunin natin ang square root ng both sides. So, square root of x squared equals the square root of 81. So, the square root of x squared, it's x. And then, the square root of 81, it's positive and negative 9. So, again, you should always put positive and negative as the sign of the roots. Kasi kapag quadratic equation, the possible number of roots is dalawa. So this is the answer. So the roots of this quadratic equation are positive 9 and negative 9. Now what about this one? Let's get the square root of or the roots of x squared minus 64 equals 0. So this is the given quadratic equation and we have to extract the roots. So let's copy the given equation first. So x squared minus 64 equals 0. So ano ba ang gagawin natin next? So what are we gonna do next? So we have to transpose negative 64 to the right because this is a constant and this is an expression with variables. So diba, there is an x here, while this one, walang x. So this is a constant number. So we're gonna transpose that to the right. So this becomes x squared equals 64. So if this is negative or minus, if we are going to transfer this to the right side of the equation, so that becomes positive. So that's why naging 64 siya. From negative 64, naging 64, again, positive 64 because we transferred or we transposed negative 64, the constant negative 64 to the right, which becomes positive. And then this is now katulad na lang, this quadratic equation is similar to what we presented a while ago. So, diba? So, ang gagawin natin is we have to get the square root of each of the sides. So, square root of x squared, that's equal to square root of 64. So, we're gonna get the square root of both sides. And square root of x squared, that's x. And then the square root of 64, that's positive and negative 8. So, these are now the square roots or the roots of the given quadratic equation. So x is equal to positive and negative 8. Now what about this? What is the square? What are the roots of x squared minus 4 equals 0? So again, let's just copy the given quadratic equation. And then let's transpose negative 4 from left to right. So this is negative 4. So this becomes positive 4. So if we're going to transpose this to the right, may magiging plus 4 na siya, positive 4. So x squared equals 4 and then get the square root of both of the sides. So x squared equals square root of x squared equals square root of 4, so that's square root of x squared, that's x, and then square root of 4, that's positive, and negative 4. So these are our answers for this particular quadratic equation. Now what about this? X squared plus 4 equals 40. What are the roots of this quadratic equation? So again, let's just copy the given. So x squared plus 4 equals 40, and then since this is positive 4, the constant is positive, so if we're going to transpose this to the right, this becomes negative 4. So this becomes x squared equals 40. Kakapit lang natin ang 40 minus 4. So again, if this is positive, if we're gonna transpose that to the right side of the equation, that becomes negative. Or if it's negative, if we're gonna transpose that to the right side of the equation, that becomes positive. So as much as possible, you have to write the constants to the right side of the equation and the variables sa left side ng equation. So that's how you solve quadratic equation. And then simplify. So x squared copy x squared, 40 minus 4, that's 36. And then this is now similar to what we did earlier, right? So get the square root of both sides. So x squared equals square root of x squared equals square root of 36. So square root of x squared, that's x, and then square root of 36, that's positive and negative 6. So this is now our answer for this particular equation. Ang answer or ang sagot sa exercise na ito is or are positive and negative 6. Alright? Now what about this? X squared plus 10 equals 11. So let's copy the given equation again. So x squared plus 10 equals 11, and then let's transpose. Ita-transpose natin ang 10 from left side of the equation to the right. So this becomes x squared equals copy 11. Positive 10 man eh. So this is positive 10. So if we're going to transpose this to the right, this becomes negative. So x squared equals 11 minus 10. So that's x squared minus equals 1. 11 minus 10, that's 1. And then get the square root of both of the sides of the equation. So this becomes square root of x squared equals square root of 1. And then the square root of x squared, that's x. And the square root of 1 is positive and negative 1. So this is our answer for this particular exercise. That's just how easy it is to solve quadratic equations by extracting the square roots. What about this? So let's solve this. Let's extract the square roots of this given quadratic equation. 3x squared minus 8 equals 19 using the square root method. So let's copy the given equation first. So 3x squared minus 8 equals 19. So ang next na gagawin natin, susunod na gagawin natin ay we're going to transpose negative 8 from the left to the right. So this becomes negative, this is negative 8, right? So kapag ita-transpose natin to the right side of the equation, so this becomes positive 8 or plus 8. So this becomes 3x squared equals 19, copy 19 plus 8. And then let's simplify. So 3x squared equals 19 plus 8, that's 27. And then, what are we going to do next? So since there is a numerical coefficient right beside x squared, so may numerical coefficient na 3 pa sa x squared, so let's divide both of the equations by 3 first. So let's gonna divide both of the equations, both sides of the equations by 3. So 3x squared divided by 3 equals 27 divided by 3. Why are we gonna need this? So kailangan nating gawin ito para ma-cancel natin ang 3 here. So 3x squared divided by 3, that's x squared na lang, right? And then 27 divided by 3, that's 9. So we have simplified this equation. So from here to here. So since wala nang numerical coefficient ang x squared, and we also have simplified this one. So 27 divided by 3, that's 9. So ang gagawin natin ay we could now get the square root of each of the sides of the equation to solve the roots. So square root of x squared equals square root of 9. And then square root of x squared, that's x, equals positive negative 3. So diba, the square root of 9 is positive negative 3. And this is now our answer for this particular example. Now what about this one? 4x squared plus 9 equals 109. So again, let's copy the given. So 4x squared plus 9 equals 109. And then let's transpose 9 from the left side of the equation to the right. So since this is plus 9, so kapag ililipat natin siya sa right side of the equation, this becomes minus 9. So 4x squared equals 109 minus 9. So diba, this is the right side of the equation. Well, this is the left side of the equation. So how are we going to know if that is in the left or in the right side of the equation? So just look at the equal sign. So diba, this is the divisor, or it somehow divides the equation into two parts. So the left side and the right side. And then let's simplify. So 4x squared equals 109 minus 9, that's 100. And then since there is still a numerical coefficient, so may kasama pang number si x squared dito, which is 4. This is called the numerical coefficient. So we have to divide both sides by 4. So to cancel the numerical coefficient, so let's divide both sides by 4. So that's 4x squared over 4 equals 100 over 4. So if you're going to divide any number in the left side of the equation, you should also divide that to the right side of the equation to maintain the equality. And then 4x squared over 4, that's x squared. So we could now cancel 4 here. So makacancel na natin ang 4 dito. So this becomes x squared na lang, and then 100 over 4, that's 25, right? Because 25 times 4, that's 100. And then this is now similar to what we did a while ago, right? So what are we going to do next? We're going to get the square root of each of the sides. So get the square root of x squared as well as the square root of 25. And then the square root of x squared, that's x. And then the square root of 25, that's positive, negative 5, right? So this is now our answers for this particular, or these are now our answers for this particular exercise because there are two roots, man. So positive 5 and negative 5. So we have two answers in this exercise. So again, when you are going to solve quadratic equations, you have to bear in mind that you have to write the positive and negative sign because quadratic equations have two possible answers. Now this time, try this. So try to solve the given quadratic equation by the square root method. So 2x squared minus 42 equals 200. And you may comment your answer in the comment section below. That's all for now. Thank you, more power, and let's keep learning.